Hi everybody, my name is Maitland and I am the host today for the Lighter Side Show. And today I'm going to talk to Rob Holmes, who is in England, so he is on the computer. And we're going to be discussing twin flames, kind of how great it is and how hard it is. Hi Rob.
Hi Maitland, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am really well, thank you. All the better for seeing you, of course.
You're very funny. I think the way that humans introduce themselves is kind of entertaining. Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? When really nothing is being exchanged, like, I got a lot of things I could talk to you about, but we don't need to be doing that. We need to talk about twin flames. So, do you want to introduce what a twin flame is?
Okay, well, I didn't really know until I met my twin flame what a twin flame was. It's one of those things, until you've experienced it, you don't really necessarily believe in it. So a twin flame, as far as I can work out, is different from a soulmate, in that a soulmate is like a close member of your soul family that you feel a very strong connection with. You're probably in a romantic relationship with them, but maybe not. But they're soul family, but they're different souls. Whereas a twin flame is the same soul that's mirrored. Is that right?
Well, I'm giggling because I like the way you describe a soulmate, because you're right. We have these little tribes that we travel in like family, and it could be 15, 30, 50. It's different for all of us. And those souls that we incarnate with or have more experiences with, those are what we have like as a soulmate, because we have a familiarity and a closeness to them. But then when you said that there are a different soul, I giggle in the back of my head because that's not really true. We're all part of the same source, so we're actually not different. But there is a more separate feeling with our soul family and our soulmate compared to a twin flame. But we are not different. Carry on.
Okay, so yes, bearing in mind we're all one soul, yes, take that as read. Thanks for the reminder, because it's good to know that. So a twin flame is a very intense, let's use the term same soul that's been mirrored. So when I've met my twin flame, which was 3 months ago, I knew even before we'd met face to face that there was this magnetic connection between us. And I think I've probably been looking for her since I was 15 years old, and I'm nearly 50. So we've both been attracted to each other over hundreds and hundreds of miles over the last 20, 30 years. And when we eventually met, we met on an online dating site, and then we started chatting on the old text machine. We realized there was this incredible eternal connection between us that went completely outside of linear time. Just like, but not just that sense I've always known somebody, but just I've never not known her. It's like meeting another part of me. It's been amazing.
So I like the way that you described the twin flame and about how you feel so close to that soul, that it's like the same soul, and how you describe the magnetic pull between the two of you, because I think I would use those descriptions no matter how I twisted around the definition. And because there's different characteristics with a twin flame. So when we have a soulmate is a soul that you've incarnated with a lot. So you have that deep familiarity. When we talk about a twin flame it's like a version of yourself. Or if you're creeped out by that notion because you like to have the idealism that we are separate and we have, individuality, then you could identify as a twin flame being the soul that you've incarnated the most with, which would be true because it is kind of the other version of you. And twin flames are not always an opposite sex, because I think a lot of people think of another version of you would have to be like the negative of it or the opposing or the opposite, which would be an opposing sex, and that's not true either. Souls are not described by the gender of a person. So when we look at twin flames, which we all have that, all of us, in every incarnation, we do not always experience our twin flame. That's not always the purpose. The purpose of coming to life and being connected with someone is not always on the premise of looking for a twin flame. I just want to be very clear with that. People make it a goal when it's not really a goal. But there are some incarnations like Rob's where, and you can talk about this, where when you come into this world and you become more awake, or you have this yearning of meeting someone and you just know that they're going to look a certain way, they're going to have something in their eyes, you know this without anybody teaching it to you. That is it's kind of like a memory that you are carrying into your human life that's attached to the incarnations, to the higher self, and to all the incarnations that you've had with that person, that's bleeding in. Because you had a very strong concept that your your twin flame would have certain eyes, would have certain hair, would be a certain way, but you had no idea where this twin flame would be. You had no idea how old this twin flame would be. You had no knowledge of that. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I just knew she existed, thanks to you letting me know there was somebody out there for me about 3 years ago. You said I was going to fall in love and get married again.
I remember you didn't like that so much. You were like, "That's interesting." Like it was just too much. But
it was only because I was going out with someone at the time, and you said, "No, that's not the person you're going to fall in love with or get married." So I was a bit like, "Oh, okay. How do I tell her that?"
I just had to be honest.
I appreciate, because once I knew that it wasn't just that I liked this particular blonde bob kind of, it wasn't that I liked all blondes. It was that I was looking for one particular person who happened to have a blonde bob. So once you told me that, it made a lot more sense. And about 1.5 years ago, I went onto Google Images to look for women with blonde bobs to see if I could see a picture of somebody that I thought was like her. And I found a picture and I kept coming back to it. I stored it on my phone. And when I met my twin flame 4 months ago or 3 months ago, whenever it was, she looked identical to this person. She's a celebrity that I found. So I knew somewhere in here, I knew what she looked like.
Like a doppelganger.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like a doppelganger, yeah, like a twin. And I couldn't believe how close I was. The cheeks, the hair, the shape of her eyebrows. I found a picture of her almost,
So that's a really nice testament in how a session can help you have more awareness around something that you're working on. So I appreciate you saying that out loud. So when
You're well. Look, you know I have a reading with you every year, and it's life-changing, Maitland. It really is.
I love you. Rob and
I
I are
love
going to
you
be
too.
working on some more material together. But that's
We're going to be writing.
Yes, we're talking about twin flames.
Yes.
The part that I want to mention, when people mention the terms to be in love or to have a twin flame, to have a soul meet, that they automatically define it as somebody in a romantic position, and that they automatically define it as what you would call a positive or being in love. And soulmates, as well as twin flames, don't always play that role with people. So a soulmate can be someone who has signed up and agreed to be in your life, that has a very difficult agreement with you. And it could be all about a separation or an abandonment or an abuse or a divorce, as well as deep love and honesty and vulnerability and caring and passion. Remember where we come from, where we reside. Your emotions that you list out, you can pretty much categorize them on earth as positive and kind of how I want to feel, because it's easier, like happiness, compared to these are the negative feelings and these how I don't want to feel, like sad and depressed. Where we are, we value all of them. Yes, they all have their different characteristics, but they all have great purpose. And so we value
Hmm.
all of them. And some of these, what you call the negative aspect emotions, are very, very difficult to go through. And you really need somebody close that you can trust and be safe with when the trauma comes. So you will be a soulmate to somebody and you can sign on to these horrific things rather than these positive things. So even with
Hmm.
a twin flame can be very similar, where you have this incredibly deep love, but the way that it shows up is with a lot of work, a lot of you're being held responsible, and you can no longer run and hide, and all your wounds will come to the surface for us to examine and look at, and that is not a comfortable place to be in.
It
So
is not.
when you're working with your twin flame, you're 3 months into this. Would you say, Rob, that it is like a somebody on a white horse has come and scooped you up and has shown you the castle and you're going to be in love happily ever after? Or is it somebody in a white horse came and scooped you up and you fell massively in love and then they booted you off the horse and said, now you have to walk. You have to work for it.
And the horse trod on me.
And the horse, no, no, that's
So the
terrible.
answer, you find in spiritual circles that a paradox is a truth. It's both of those, Maitland. They're on the one hand, it is the most fairy tale, deep, intense love I've ever felt for anybody. I say between my twin flame, we love each other, and it's not even a choice. We're not choosing to love each other; we just do. So it is amazing, and if I hold her hand, the heat comes between us. We're just electric together. It's amazing. So all of that is true. The white horse into the sunset bit. And you're absolutely right. And then sometimes we fall off the horse and I get run over by it because everything comes up. And the analogy I keep thinking of is if you imagine you had a toothpaste tube that was totally full, right? And normally in our lives, we do a little tiny bit of toothpaste at a time when we brush our teeth. And if you imagine the toothpaste is all of our stored emotions, all of our traumas, our anger, our sadness. Well, meeting a twin flame is like someone treading on the toothpaste tube, the lid coming off and all the toothpaste coming out in one go. It's very intense healing.
And,
And it's not pleasant, but I can see it's necessary.
is quite vulnerable. It's interesting when you're with a twin flame, which is another version of yourself, there is a telepathic bond that's between the
Yes.
two of you where the words that needed to be spoken before in a relationship, they don't really have to be spoken in this kind of relationship. And so it
Yeah.
leaves a lot of room for you to speak from the heart when you might not have found that time before in a different kind of relationship. And so
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it is, there's no need for protection or for shade. And like you said, everything kind of comes out. So if you have a history in your current life with abuse or imbalance or any other kind of like issues or blockages, when you're in front of your twin flame, there's no hesitancy on reserving those items because they might not be held right or that you might be embarrassed about them. There's certain emotions that just kind of fall away, such as embarrassment. When you're with your twin flame, you don't even think twice. You reach into that deep dark luggage or that closet that you were hiding everything and you go, "Oh, here's my old abuse. And here is how it used to be and this is that label and this is that label," when you could have been in a 7-year relationship with someone you really loved, but you would have never brought those things out. And so you sometimes think that you're a bit crazy or insane or that you are actually trying to sabotage the relationship because you're bringing everything out. And that's not the
Yeah.
case because
Yeah.
when you're in a safety zone, such as what you're going through, and you pull out these deep, dark things, they're examined together. They're not looked at and judged upon. It's, oh, look, you just brought that out for me to look at. What is it? I won't assume that I know what it is. And how are you with that? It's like immediately you know where the focus needs to be placed in a conversation. But I know, Rob, that we got together today because you had some questions about what a twin flame is. And I wanted to know if you wanted to ask a few of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've already helped a lot on that because you're the best person to ask really what a twin flame is, and it is a beautiful and intense relationship. What do I want to know? Yeah, I mean, one of the bits of advice that you've already given me, which I think is really good, is that other people who have met their twin flame, they may be in what they call union, so they might be living together, or going out, or they might be in separation stage where they sometimes it's so intense you block them from your social media. You don't want to speak to them, and that might go on for months, even years. So one thing that I just wanted to pass on some advice as well and see what you thought about it is that I had some advice which was that when you're having a moment where you don't want to be together because it's too intense and you want to run away from each other, just to go with it and trust that everything's working out, because it doesn't mean something's broken. It just means you need some time apart because the intensity is too great otherwise. Would you agree with that, Maitland?
That's very true. I think a falsity that people sign up for on earth is that when you're in a romantic relationship or a monogamous relationship, that you are to be dedicated to each other and to each other's orbit, and that you have to live together and that you have to travel together and you do everything as a team. But that's not necessary. When you have a true security with someone, like what a twin flame brings, you can like yo-yo with each other. You can spend time together and then you can spend lots of time apart and then you can come back together, and there's nothing faulty with that. It's still the same kind of security whether you're in each other's presence or not. Sometimes when you push the the loyalty and the dedication in a relationship, and this goes for even soulmates or other kinds of relationships and friendships, where you push the dedication and you say, well, you need to stay here and you need to do this and we have to be together all the time, that can create a lot of conflict, and you don't recognize it until it blows up, and then you go into trying to problem solve what went wrong when really you were overlooking your need to do things separately. um,
Yes.
in a twin flame, it's easier to be away from them because you don't have to manage them believing that you love them enough to be away. Does that make sense when I do it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one of the bits of advice that I've read was that a twin flame relationship repels attachment. So if you try and do the attachment where, I can't live without you, you're the love of my entire life and all that sort of stuff, if you start to feel like that, you're going to end up being pushed apart because a twin flame doesn't want attachment. It repels that. And there's a beautiful little practice that I practice with my twin flame, not every day, but probably every 2 or 3 days, which is just to look at her in the eye and say, you are free, you are free, you are free. And then she says it to me, so that we're just reminding each other that we are free. We don't belong to each other. And it just helps us to sort of stay centered in our own space.
I like the idea that you share with each other that you are free. It's very important because a lot of people on earth, they're trained that relationships are not that way. Relationships mean that once you get into it, you're supposed to give up something and then prioritize the relationship above themselves. And so we're already starting a relationship in the mode of sacrifice, and that's not very healthy.
I agree. So here's another question for you,
Mhm.
Maitland. And I think you've answered this, but I'm interested to hear, does everybody now who's in a body right now on this planet have a twin flame?
Yes.
Yeah, but is the twin flame in another body incarnated at the same time? Or are some twin flames, one stays behind in your place to help be like a guide to the other?
Hmm.
Can you explain?
Yes, everybody alive has a twin flame. And everybody alive has soulmate or soulmates. Because sometimes in our family, we can travel, let's say, with Sally 10 times, and then we can travel with Joe 10 times. So this would be an equivalent experience. And so we would have those two soulmates. Sometimes it's more than two, sometimes it's only one. We all have twin flames, but we don't all have twin flames that are in a body that would be compatible to your body during the lifetime that you are consciously aware of. How's that?
Yeah, that is a good answer.
Okay. And sometimes the twin flame is in spirit and helping you to be more stable as an independent, because if you think about it in the more grandeur picture, is that all the incarnated lives that you have, and then you have higher consciousness above it. Your twin flame is a version of your higher consciousness, right? And so, even in afterlife, your twin flame is going to exist even if they are in a body.
So would a twin flame that's in spirit be a kind of spirit guide then?
Not all the time.
No.
But it can be.
So here's something else that I heard about twin flames, Maitland. I'd like you to see if it's true or not.
Okay.
So I've heard that the two things that are the sort of outstanding points of twin flame relationships. Number one is the intensity of it, how intense it is, which is good intense and bad intense, if you want to call it that way, because it's intense, whatever you choose, it's still intense. And the second thing was that there's a sense of shared mission, a shared of being of service together, so that we're here to help each other with a particular service mission. And for me, I've been wanting to do a retreat center for the last few years. And as you know, I'm looking for some land, or I'm waiting for some land to show up. And when I met my twin flame, one of the things I asked her about was, would she help me with the retreat center? And she was absolutely 100% behind helping me do that, and working there and helping, and maybe even doing Reiki at some point there. So I was excited about that because I didn't want to have to do it on my own. So what would you say about that? Is that a characteristic of twin flames, that when they come together, there is some mission that they're here to accomplish in these lives? What would you say?
I would categorize it, when twin flames are together, that they are so supportive of each other that it might feel like there's a shared mission, but really the big investment is into what the person is aiming for or what they need. In general, when you're conscious enough to be aware of a twin flame, you're already walking a path that is more high vibrational, which I don't mean better, I don't mean good, I mean with high vibrational qualities such as compassion, honesty, vulnerability, acceptance. You've already found this kind of ease in life. And when you're aware of your twin flame and you possess those qualities, and then you meet your twin flame and they become aware of it, they're going to possess those same qualities. So it already feels like you're on a different plane together than where you would have been in another relationship, because it takes certain skills to identify a twin flame.
It feels like that we're both in a balloon, hot air balloon, and we're going up. And the only way of going up is to let go of the heavy stuff, which is the low frequency things like anger and resentment and jealousy and fear. If you throw them over the basket, the balloon goes up quicker.
I love that. That's the perfect image of it. And it's true. And you willingly throw the weight over. And some parts of your head will just think you're crazy for letting go like that. That everything's going to collapse and fall apart. And that, the fires are going to start and you're going to get burned as soon as you do it. And it doesn't. It doesn't. You let go of it and you go, Oh, that's it?
Is that why it's called twin flame? Because fires burn and they purge and they get rid of stuff and they burn things off. Is that why it's called twin flame?
That's a nice way of putting it. Fire and flames equal purity. And so that's why
And it's hot sometimes. It's like, I'm being burnt.
That's not true. You won't get physically burnt.
Get me a fire extinguisher.
You're being silly.
Yep.
Well, Rob, I really want to thank you for being so willing to do this with us today. I had a really
You're
good
welcome,
time.
Maitland.
And I hope that we can do it again.
That'd be great. And I want to just say to everybody out there that's met a twin flame or is looking for a twin flame, if you're looking for a twin flame, keep asking the universe for help, because the universe wants you to meet up, I think. And if you have met your twin flame, keep going and know that everything is always working out.
Even if it doesn't feel like it, right?
Even if it feels like you need burn cream on, keep going.
It is working out. That's very good advice. Okay. Thank you, Rob, for being here. And to the Lumineers, thank you so much for watching. I'm Maitland, using Jamie's body, and I hope to see you on Facebook live stream soon. I'm guessing that's about to get edited out. What do I say? Goodbye?
And remember, it's not woo.
Rob, do it with me. We're going to say, remember, it's not woo-woo, it's true-true, okay?
Okay. Ready? Remember.
Wait, no! Wait, do it again.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Remember,
it's not woo-woo, it's true-true.
It's true-true.
We have to do it again.
Okay, hold on. We're going to say, remember, it's not woo-woo, it's true-true. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Remember, it's not
woo-woo.
Woo-woo, it's
true.
true.
Rob has dramatic pauses, and I talk very fast.